Hello. Sorry, I've had some tech issues today.
Yeah, but we did it without any help.
Yeah, ended up just resorting to my phone. But hey.
That's better. Okay, so everybody, welcome back to another women's football review. It is Friday. We normally bring it on Wednesday, but then we realised it clashed with the Champions League, and I am so glad we postponed because that Chelsea game was epic.
It was.
So we've got lots of stuff to bring you, but I just wanted to talk about the England game that's being played right now. At the moment, it's 5-0 to England women with goals from a hat-trick from Beth Mead and goals from Ella Toone, Ellen White and Georgia Stanley. And just to highlight Ellen White, I love Ellen White so much. She is now the second of England's all-time top scorers in men and women included. So you've got Wayne Rooney, then Ellen White with 50 goals, which I think is epic. Then Bobby Charlton and Harry Kane both on 49. Then Gary Lineker on 48. And then Kelly Smith on 46. But I just wanted to highlight that because I think for a woman to be the second all-time top England goal scorer is absolutely
pretty awesome.
Epic. Yeah. And I'm so glad that they highlighted it and they didn't just do it for women and that they put the table of England. And I think, to me, that was a really significant moment. It might not be like the biggest thing to happen, but the fact that it was Ian Wright is one of the pundits as well. And the fact that they put the table of the men and the women together and they just did England's all-time top goal scorers, I thought was absolutely epic.
It is. Good.
And North Macedonia are absolutely shocking men's and women's teams. Honestly, the goalkeeper, she just looked like I was like, I just need to get me off this pitch now. Just get me
at that
out.
Point.
Yeah.
Let this be over.
Yeah, at 3-0 she was like that, but 5-0 she was just like, get me out.
I mean, it was pretty tragic. I don't know what I'd be thinking if I was at that stage. You just want to be done with.
And I'm going to skip, well, I'm not going to skip the results, but I'm going to fast forward what I was going to say. So, talking about England women, Williamson has been named England women's captain for the Euros. So, England women's captain has been for a number of seasons Steph Houghton, but she's not actually played
women's captain for the Euros.
Oh, so, hang on. England. Sorry, bit of an echo there. I don't know what happened.
I was like, technology. I love that.
It's not on my side tonight.
I'm that cocky. I was like, you go, girl. No. So Steph's not played for England since February 2021. And they interviewed Alex Greenwood, and I thought she looked not uncomfortable, but uncomfortable talking about it because obviously Steph is her club captain as well. And she basically said that Steph is one of England's all-time great female footballers, which absolutely everyone will agree with. I've actually wrote more stuff, but I don't know where it's gone. I've lost it. And she said that Steph is an icon of the women's game, which again, absolutely true. She is absolutely epic. But she also spoke very highly of Leah Williamson. She said Leah is Leah. And I listened to Leah's interview as well, and she reiterated the same thing. She said, I'm me. Just having the armband on is not going to make me act any different, which I think is a very, very humble, very good thing to say. And she also gave high praise to Steph. And Alex Greenwood said Leah doesn't change as a captain. So Leah is only 25. She plays for Arsenal. And the England manager, Serena, said that it gives continuity in the squad because obviously Steph's injured. She's not played. And And it was like, I thought it was a really sad moment for me because I was really excited to watch her lead the team at the Euros, especially this exciting team. And in her statement, she said that the last 12 months have been very difficult from a footballing perspective for her. But she understands and respects the decision, which we all know is completely true. That's come from the heart. But I thought it was, I don't know. I think I understand the decision, but you do see quite a lot. You do have your captain on that can't play.
Yeah.
And Steph has said that it's not the end of her England journey. So she's made it 100% clear that no, I am going to be back. I am going to play again for England. And I think for a lot of the players, even Leah being named captain, I think it was quite uncomfortable. I think it was quite an uncomfortable time for her because it was kind of like, it's not, I feel like maybe she doesn't feel like it was the right decision, but obviously she's so excited because that's absolutely incredible. Yeah. But I just think for me that was like quite a sad moment, quite a sad decision.
And it's one of those things where, as you said, on one hand it's a good thing for her. On the other hand, she's obviously also aware of what the feelings are and the thoughts are around it. But it's one of those things. It's how it is, and there's not really much you can do about it.
And I appreciate the manager. She is absolutely putting the team and the football and the results first, because she said she wants it for that continuity, because Leah will play every game. She's not actually playing tonight because I think she went off with concussion in the last game. So she's actually injured. She's not playing. But I do appreciate it. And I think it's a very, very bold decision, but I'm glad she stuck to it and she's not like pandered around it. And she's just said, no, this is my decision. But I think England's going to be very exciting. It's going to be very exciting for England women at the Euros.
Yeah. And are you going to any Euros matches?
I am going to the opener.
You're going to the opener, aren't you? That's amazing.
On the 6th of July, so it's a day after my 26th birthday.
Da, da.
I know. But I'm so excited. Not so excited it's at Old Trafford, but I'll get my stickers.
You'll be all right. You can get through it.
Stickers on the seats, in the toilets. Pictures of all the City squad, women and men, just popping everywhere. No, I am really excited. I think this could be a big, big, big change in the way that women's football is viewed in England, I think.
Yeah. It will really highlight the game. It will really highlight the players, and hopefully it will make people start thinking, I might go and watch a women's game.
Yeah, because I think I have noticed, obviously we've got a lot of work to do, but I have noticed, especially on football Twitter, a lot more lads and men are like retweeting women's football things. They know more of the players' names, especially the girls that play for England. And I think this could be very, very important in women's football in this country. What are people saying? Palace women, yeah, they are doing very well, actually. So Palace men, yeah. Crystal Palace are on like an uphill
fire at the moment.
Trajectory. Yeah, 3rd in the table, yeah. Oh, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in.
That was me.
What was you?
That said, hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.
Is that you?
Yeah. Because I'm on my phone. I can add stuff in on the comments because I'm not on the blooming thing because it's not working.
I was like, oh my God, somebody else. No.
It's just me. Sorry. I should have kept that quiet. But that is me.
I love it. I think that's iconic. But no, I think this summer, hopefully, I think the tide will turn with the way women's football is viewed. So should we go to, we're going to do results and tables, and then we'll talk about her game 2 things. And there's quite a lot to talk about, really. So Friday the 1st of April in the WSL was pretty bleak, to be honest, boring. Birmingham, Everton, it was 0-0.
Yeah.
0-0, bit of a boring game. Oh my God, I've read it in the wrong order. And Thursday the 31st of March, Bridgewater United beat Cardiff 4-0 in the Northern Premier. My geography is honestly, geography was not my best subject. Saturday, the 2nd of April. Here we go. Manchester City women beat West Ham 2-0. Goals from Georgia Stanway and Khadija Shaw. I just want to highlight Khadija Shaw because I think she's fantastic. Obviously, it's hard to settle into a new team, but I think I just want to give her the limelight that I think she gets underrated because being a Black woman in sport, there's a lot of barriers there. So she's obviously from Jamaica. She's a woman in sport, where she's barrier number 1, and then she's a Black woman in sport. And to now be playing for a very, very good WSL team, I think that's just mega.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, she's amazing, and she seems like such a nice person. I just think she's epic. Very humble and very just gets on with it. But it's nice to see her scoring because I think she did have a tricky start to the season. She had an injury, and then it's been hard for her, but she's seems to be on fire now, and I think next season will be her season. Yeah. So Sunday, the 3rd of April in the WSL, Manchester United beat Brighton 1-0, a goal from Galton in the 58th minute. Arsenal battered Leicester 5-0. Goals from Miedemar with 2 goals, Plumptree with an own goal, and Heath. Yeah, so Arsenal absolutely battered Leicester. Arsenal are a force to be reckoned with in the WSL. Will they win it?
It's a shame because they're out of the Champions League now.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, that is a big shame. It would have been nice to see them do as well as they could in that, especially because they're an English team.
Yeah, and I think that's it now for English teams in the Champions League.
Yeah, it is a shame because even though you don't necessarily like the team, it is very important that the English teams keep doing well.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Not when it's Liverpool, though.
Excuse me.
Liverpool.
Let's talk about the Liverpool women. What did they do this week, last week?
We're not talking about them right now, but let's do it. Liverpool women.
They've been promoted.
They have.
Promoted and won the league. So they've done really, really well, which is fantastic for them. They've worked hard and they kind of ran away with it, really. So really good.
Did I see, or am I making it up? Did Jurgen Klopp not say something?
Well, do you know, this is something I wanted to talk about, which I think is really important. Liverpool are actually really good at promoting their women's team. So it was so good to see. Yeah, Jurgen Klopp did. It was all over their social media, on their main channels and all of their main accounts. And Trent did a special message as well. So it's fantastic to see the men's team congratulating the women's team and getting involved in what they're doing and promoting it, because that really helps to build profile and push the game forward. And that's what we want to see from all of the Premier League teams. Well, all the teams, not just Premier League teams, but all teams that have got a women's team that's there and doing well or not doing well. It doesn't matter if they're doing well or not, you know, championing them and pushing them along. So I was really impressed with Liverpool's response to the women's team winning.
Yeah, I thought it was really epic because no one's making them do that. And like you said, I think obviously Trent is Liverpool lad. Like,
yeah,
he's got so many followers, like even people that don't support Liverpool, like for England. So for him saying like a well done to the women's team, there'll be young lads and young girls going, oh, I want to see what he's talking about, because that's how it works. People underestimate like the power of, like, people talk about influencers and footballers using social media, but it is really important because they'll put on a shoe and people will buy the shoe. So if they're talking about how great the women's game is, people will go and watch it.
Yeah. And you could see in the comments that fans were really getting it. They were really behind it and really proud of it. So lots of Liverpool fan accounts were also celebrating that the women had won. And I think that's really nice. It's something you don't necessarily see across the board. And Liverpool also do celebrate the women players' birthdays again on their main account. I think that's so good because it shows that the team is one and they're together. So that's what we want to see from more teams, and that will get people going to the matches.
Absolutely. Manchester City do it as well. I think Liverpool and City are
they're really good at that kind of thing. Yeah.
But yeah, they are. And it is important, like you said, we do want there to be two separate teams and have their identities. But birthdays, promotions, trophies, they can be celebrated together. And I think, like you said, just a birthday message, people go, oh, who's that? Then they'll click on.
And then you'll click through and you'll find it. Yeah.
I think it's Zach Steffen and, well, Janine Becky, but she's left. That actually broke my heart. I don't talk about it. But he used to like go for barbecues with Janine Becky and Ellie Roebuck. And just him putting that on his social media, people will have gone, oh, well, they're City women and I wonder what they do. And it does. It's so important to see that unity between the players and social media, and it is great. It is great to see.
I thought also what was particularly pleasing with the whole Liverpool thing was that the Liverpool women obviously aren't in the Super League; they're in the Championship, and they were still being celebrated. It wasn't like, oh, they're in a lower league, so we're going to pretend they're not there or they're not visible, they're not around. So that was really, really pleasing to see.
Yeah, it is. It's epic, and they have done. They've been phenomenal this season, so it's well deserved.
Yeah.
What else happened on Sunday the 3rd? Spurs lost 1-0 to Aston Villa. Petzelberger scored very late, actually, in the 87th minute. And then Chelsea, not to be outdone by Arsenal, absolutely battered Reading 5-0. Fleming, England scored a penalty and a goal. A penalty and a goal. Yeah, that was the right term.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's fine.
Was that right?
They're both goals, but one was a penalty.
That is what I wanted to say. And Kerr with 2 goals. So Chelsea and Arsenal are absolutely hot on each other's tails. And Chelsea are still 1 point clear of Arsenal. United are in 3rd, and Manchester City women are 3 points behind United, but they do have a game in hand. So if United do slip up, City could take that Champions League.
Who do you reckon between Arsenal and Chelsea now that this is
I think
after
Chelsea.
the result? Yeah, I think so too. I think they might just pip them to the post.
Yeah, I think Chelsea have kicked on just at the right time.
Yeah.
And then Birmingham City have only got 5 points. I think that has settled that at the bottom. And Leicester in 11th with 12. Yeah, 12 and 5. Then they're never gonna catch them. So on to the Championship. We have our champions, Liverpool. And in second, we have Bristol City women. So if we look at the results, Sheffield United beat Lewes 2-0. Goals from Watson and Lipka. Crystal Palace, who have got themselves back into such a better position.
I know.
Back in top of the table territory.
Amazing.
In third.
I was at that match. It was awesome, just to say.
Yeah. Do you want to tell us anything about how it was?
Oh, it was, I was so impressed with Crystal Palace. They did so well, so well. And I just thought, aside from watching the game and the performance, which was excellent, it was such a shame that so few people go. We were literally where they play is actually a really nice ground. There's practically a new stand there. There's a restaurant. There's, it's nice. It's a really pleasant place to go. And yet there was a handful of fans, and the Crystal Palace fans, I thought, did brilliantly in terms of their support. They put up all their banners. It was lovely to see. But literally a handful of Crystal Palace fans, mainly men, all men, actually. There were a couple of women scattered about. They sang the chants, they sang the odd chant, which was lovely, the Crystal Palace songs. I loved the fact that these were established Crystal Palace fans who had come along and fully supporting the women's team, fully supporting them, and really keen to progress, to get more people there and to really show that they're part of the Crystal Palace family. But it was such a shame that people just do not go. And I really, really hope that as many Palace fans as possible go to the last home game, which is in 2 weeks' time. It'd be amazing to see more people there. And it's really cheap. I think it's like £5 to go, and kids are free. So under 16s, I think, go for free. It's a brilliant place, lovely ground. The team are fantastic. They come over at the end. You can meet them, you can talk to them, take pictures. I just think they really deserve so much more support. They train so hard. We just need to be down there really supporting.
We are both well. I don't know why I said it weird like that. We are both well.
Well,
apart from my eyes. I had to do an eye test in my glasses though, which I thought was like a cheat code or what. I was like, oh, look at me, I can read all these. She was like, yeah, glasses on. I was like, okay. Yeah, but
when I do my eye test without my glasses on, it's so depressing.
Isn't it?
I literally want to cry. I can't see a thing. I'm like, they're like, what can you see on the bottom line? And I'm like, bottom line? There's a line.
Honestly,
there's a bottom line.
It's not happening. But
when you're every time they're asking you, you're saying different letters, and you're like, I'm so getting this wrong. God knows what's going through. You're like, oh no, G. Oh, is it a K? Oh.
And they're just like, oh, thank you. And I'm
like, thank you. Off you go.
But thank you, Niall. Yeah, we're both good.
Yeah, we're well. All good.
Yeah, and we're managing technology all on our own.
Well, Samara is completely behind this. My technology is not working at all. I can't believe, have to say, a big shout out to Rich. He spent time showing me how to do all the controls and stuff. And I kept myself logged in, so I didn't need to redo anything and whatever. And of course, I come to my laptop and it decides it is not going to accept me using the camera or my earphones. And in fact, it's not even going to let me get onto the show other than tell me that I can't. So here I am on my phone. So all of that, I had all these grand plans with all the graphics and the videos, and yet no, nothing.
I did forget Women's Championship. So, London City beat Charlton 2-0.
Can you do the Women's Super League one as well? Because we didn't have it, just so people know it exists.
Are you ready, guys?
That was for a few moments ago, but now we're on to the Championship.
I can't even. So, yeah, London City. Why have I written? I don't know what I've written that for. Yeah, beat Charlton 2-0. Sunderland Coventry was a 0-0 draw. Liverpool beat Bristol City 4-2. Goals from Bristol came from Beaver Jones and Harrison, and Liverpool, we had goals from Fahe, Matthews, Stengel, and Kearns. I am so excited, honestly, to see these women in the WSL. I think Liverpool are going to be a mega addition, and they, like we've just said, were confirmed champions. And then Watford and Durham drew 3-3. Goals for Watford from Ward, Fife and Fatuga Dada, and then Durham, Bradley and Heppel with 2 goals. So Watford are 11th with 11 points, but smack bang at the bottom of the Championship. We've got Coventry, United, Ladies, and they've only picked up 5 points this season. So, yeah. Again, the same with the WSL, though. There's a big gap between that 11th and 12th spot. Leicester in the WSL have 12 points, Birmingham have 5. And then in the Championship, Watford are on 11 and Coventry only have 5. So there's a clear
like a divide, isn't there, between the top and the bottom, like a really big divide.
Oh, God, yeah, absolutely. So if we go on to, wait for it.
Yeah.
National League. Northern Premier. Sheffield FC women got beat 2-0 by West Brom. Stoke City beat Loughborough Lightning, which is the best team name in the whole of ever.
It really is.
4-2. Burnley women battered Hull City 7-0. Wolverhampton beat Huddersfield 2-1. AFC Fylde lost 2-0 to Derby County. And Brighouse Town beat Nottingham Forest 1-0. And I'm pretty sure, no, that was in the Southern Premier. So if we have a look at the table, Wolverhampton are flying at the top of the Northern Premier with 51 points. Then we've got Derby County in second, AFC Fylde in third, and Hull City in 13th with 6 points. However, Sheffield in 12th with 7, but Sheffield actually have 2 games in hand. So you could find Middlesbrough actually second to bottom there, because Sheffield actually have 2 games in hand. There's a lot of games in hand in the Northern and Southern Premier due to lots of postponements, due to COVID, due to the weather. A lot of it is frozen pitches, waterlogged pitches. It's like the lower league in the men's game, isn't it? It's just not
I mean, the quality of the pitches where women are playing is nowhere near the quality that the men get, and there's a huge difference between even the women's Super League. Their matches get postponed, so it's such a shame. It really does make you realise. I was talking to some people who are involved in the women's game, and a coach and a manager, and they were just saying how it's almost quite disheartening for them, the lack of investment, because the women that play put in so much hard work. So they were saying, a lot of our women, they're off working during the day. Some have got kids. They then come to train late afternoons and in the evenings, and then there's no investment in the game. They don't even have the proper kit sometimes. They're having to play, they're given the men's kits, and we know that, men's shorts, men's clothes don't fit women properly. So apparently some women are even having to buy their own kit to try and make up for the fact that the team isn't giving them anything. And then they put in all that work and then no one comes to the match. It's just insane. But they're doing it for the love of it. They love it, and they're playing. And it's such a shame, because the quality of the playing and the matches is fantastic. It really, really is. And the games are really exciting. As you're going through the results, you can hear how there's a lot of goals being scored. Yeah. So they're exciting matches, and yet very little interest. I mean, we talk about interest is kind of peaking a bit. Yeah. But again, at club level, I think at national level, it's always the case. The national teams, people feel they get behind it a little bit more. But at club level, it's so hard. And there's so many reasons that if you're say you're a City fan and the main team is playing on Saturday and the women's team is playing on Sunday, then you might be footballed out already from spending your day on Saturday going to a match and then going again on Sunday. And I think it's so important that we see, as we've said before, it's like 2 different teams, and actually you could have 2 completely different fan bases. You don't have to be, if you're a women's City fan, if you're a Man City fan, you don't then have to be a Man City women's fan as well. It could be, but it could also be a completely different fan base. Like a different type of person might want to go to the women's game, and it's quite a nice introduction into football. And it just seems such a shame and so frustrating to be in a huge empty stadium with no one there.
It is, and I think all we can do is hope that, like, the Euros doesn't just peak at, like, supporting the country, and it does pull people in, and people go, oh, well, she plays for Arsenal women, but I support Arsenal. Maybe I could go and watch Arsenal women. And I'm hoping that it does bring about those kind of thought patterns, because like you said, they work so hard. And if these are players who are in the women's championship and are still not getting kit provided, that's only the second. That's like the championship. That is the championship.
That is the championship.
Preston North End players don't buy their own kit. They
I
don't
know,
have to have another job. They don't
It's
play
insane.
on waterlogged pitch. That doesn't happen. So
No.
why in the second division of
Yeah,
the
it's the
women's
second
league
division. Yeah.
is it like down here, but in the men's it's quite a high standard? Because when you joke about like when you're younger and you go, oh, I want to marry a footballer, oh, I'd marry one at championship level, because they're still earning loads of money. It should be reflected in the women's game, because they are working just as hard, and it's crazy to think that you got a Crystal Palace women's player having to pay for her own kit and getting games postponed, but then the men's players are earning what we've never earned in a lifetime.
Yeah. It's insane. It really is. It's just sad. It'd be great to see more women going to the women's games as well. I mean, I know we've obviously heard Game 2 talk about women going to football matches, and generally we're talking about going to men's football matches and being welcome there and so on. It'd be so good to see women actually attending women's matches and enjoying it, and taking pride in the fact that it's women playing. And as I said, at that match on Sunday, there was barely any women there. Literally no one. So, let's get, I think if even at school level to promote it more, because girls obviously play football at school. Well, a lot of girls play football at school. I used to play football at school. We used to have football when I went to a girls' school. It'd be great if girls saw women's football on par with men's football. I think that's the problem. It's just seen as not as serious, perhaps, as the men's game. And that's men and women thinking that way. And that's why it was lovely to see all these male fans at the game and properly supporting. We're not, they were there enjoying, supporting. They knew all the players. And yet no women there watching. And it's cheap. You can go for a £5. Take your kids for free. It's a family day out.
You can go for free to some of them. And I think the clubs need to take a lot more responsibility. So like when it was
advertise them at the Premier League game. There's a women's game tomorrow, everybody. Go along, take your family. It's just a £5. Advertise them, or let people go for free initially if it gets them in.
I remember the first women's derby, because obviously Manchester United came later than Man City women's, and it was played at the Etihad, and it was absolutely epic. And I'm sure the tickets were either really, really cheap or they were free for like certain age, but it was full, and it was full of young girls, women, season ticket holders. And I think if you did a season where you said season ticket holders can go to, because I know at City you can go to the EDS, so the elite development, you can go to their games for free if you've got a season ticket. Do that for the women. And I know that obviously the women need the money, but with a club like Man City, they could do that for a season. They could say, right,
I mean, City have got the money.
Exactly. They could say, right, this season it's either going to be barely any, or you can go for free to any women's games. And I think you would, because to make women's football accessible, you've got to get people to go in the first place.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to take the loss on the money to then grow.
Yeah, but it's like any business. You start off potentially making a loss and you build it up. So it's insane that you can't, that they don't do it. They don't promote it more. Open the stadium up. Do you know, at Crystal Palace, they have like the youth teams will play their big matches at Selhurst. So why can't you have the women, even one game in a season, have the women go to the main stadium and promote it? We need them to promote it. It's so frustrating that there's whole women's teams and they're playing in these tiny little, as you were saying, waterlogged pitches, or in the middle of nowhere. They're not even great to get to transport wise, or it's insane.
I think that's something that I'm really happy that Man City have, is that the women play at the academy.
Yeah.
And I think that would be incredible if we could all do it. But I think even sometimes doing a double header day. So like if, for example, Crystal Palace men are playing at 5:30 on a Saturday, why couldn't the women have an earlier kickoff? Because people would go to it. I would go.
It doesn't have to be every week, every match. We were just saying play a couple of matches. Obviously, it's a longer day, but I think people would still go. I know for a fact people go 2 hours previous to the match even starting, sometimes more than that, and they'll hang out at Palace. They've got fan zone, and they'll hang out there, drinking, watching. There's stuff on the screen and entertainment and so on. Play a game inside. Do it. Just before the match, not just before, but obviously there needs to be time for the team to warm up and so on. But do it. People are there, even if the stadium isn't completely full. It just raises a bit of awareness. Or at half time, play a little exhibition match. Put it on the big screens. Our women are playing tomorrow.
Yeah, and
why do they not do it?
It would bring traction, and because these things do work. Like there will be a little girl who absolutely loves Man City men's team, loves football, and has a season ticket, and then suddenly there's a chance to go and watch the women and the men, and then she's like, oh, I want to go. But you can go because it's either on the same day or it's free. And I just think you need to do it. Like we said, in all business, you need to take the bit of the loss on the money. Yeah. And then you build it up. The only way we're going to get more funding given to us for women's football is if they see if it becomes more appealing. And Realistic just said, like, get the kids. Yeah, exactly. Kids, it's a good day out. Exactly.
It is. I mean, as I said, at Palace Women's, they play, again, this is a shame, they play at Bromley Football Club. And even on the sign outside the stadium, the club, it doesn't even say that Crystal Palace women play there. It just says Bromley Football Club. So there's nothing there that even tells you, even if you were walking past, that Crystal Palace women are there. Because actually, I think that would draw people in, because we're talking about a Premier League, overall, the main team, a Premier League team, and their women's team is playing there. So even if you're walking past, because you can buy a ticket on the day, it's not like Premier League matches where you have to buy in advance. There's no tickets on the day, depending on what team it is. I'm sure there's some probably that do have that. But you could be walking past and you'd think, oh, there's a football match on. I might go and might pop in there, actually. Put a sign outside to say this is where this team plays, because otherwise you might have heard that Palace women, I'm talking about Palace because obviously it's my local team and I know what they're doing, but you might know that they've got a women's team, but you never see where they play. You'd assume it. Oh, exactly, most people would assume it's at the main stadium, but you never hear about it. You never see it. There's no advertising anywhere. So how would you know? But it literally is a great day out. So they've got a restaurant. They don't have the normal match day pies and all that kind of thing. They've got a proper restaurant attached to the ground, to the stadium. It's a little stadium, but there's a proper restaurant attached. You can go there hours before, have a really nice meal, pay next to nothing to, you can spend the majority of your money that you might spend on a day out, spend it on a lovely meal, and then go in, watch it for free. The adults pay a £5 and enjoy it and just have fun. And yet people don't even know it's there. People don't even know what's going on.
Yeah. And I think, look, everyone's agreeing, because I think sometimes because it's women, people cannot be bothered to do the things that we've just said, we've come up with in 15, 20 minutes. Yeah. And I think sometimes because it's such a male-dominated sport, just can't be bothered. They can be bothered with the national team will go on the TV, because that's always seen in a different light, obviously, because it's your national team, it's England, it's the Lionesses, but Crystal Palace women are can't bother. Yeah. And it just seems like such a big effort, but it's not a big effort. And if you look at Barcelona women, their Champions League semi-final home leg sold out in 24 hours because it's
insane.
advertised, they are promoted, they are treated like the men's team, but also on their own as well. And I think that's like what we've been saying, isn't it? They're two separate teams, but promotion needs to be at the same level. And it's
they're
sold
under
out
the same umbrella. They're the same team ultimately. Like, all teams promote their youth games, their under 18s, they're this, they're that. Put the women in there as well. Like, exactly. I know, again, Crystal Palace, the youth games, they play them at the academy. If they can play a youth game at the academy, you can play a women's game at the academy, surely. It's quite sad. It really is sad. And I know, they're going to put money where money's going, where money's coming in, but you're not going to make the money, as we said, unless you invest in it and do something about it.
Oh, God, I definitely think it is. Absolutely.
It's a male domain, isn't it? It's the men's, it's where men, it's really difficult, actually, because it's obviously traditionally been a male sport, even though women's football's actually been around for years and years and years and years. But it is a male sport. It's what we see on TV. We just see the men's game. I think a lot of men see it as their escape.
Yeah.
It's where they go, they'll go to the match with their mates. And it just isn't seen as a women's sport, regardless of the fact that girls do play football in school. It's not like it's unknown, but it's just never taken as seriously. And it is a cultural attitude, and it's something that needs to shift. And it also needs to not be seen as a threat to the men's game, because it isn't. And none of the sort of thing. And again, with like her game too, it's not about saying, oh, women should be going only and be given special treatment and so on. It's just saying, actually, it's about opening the game up to everybody and showing that everybody can play. And if a football team has got, as I said, a youth team, and they're playing all those games and they're promoting those, there's no reason why they can't promote their women's team as well. And it opens up your fan base. So actually, you might get people who've never been to football before going along to the women's game. It makes it a bit more accessible, because, as we know, getting tickets for Premier League games is near on impossible unless you're a season ticket or a season ticket holder, a member, or you're really quick and you're able to get in on the general sale. And then you might get a seat somewhere up in the heavens trying to watch a game in the stadium. This actually is a cheaper option to introduce you to football and for you to enjoy it. And it's not even an introduction to football, it's a proper game, but it's a way in, so you can go to watch a football match for £5, which is incredible. Like, I pay to go to Crystal Palace week in, week out, £50 plus just for my ticket. So to then be able to go to a match for £5, you're laughing. Why would you not go? So all the people that never get to go, you can go and watch it.
Exactly. And I love what Realista said. Like, I think that is a massive thing that could be used by the top clubs. Like you were saying about Trent. Trent put that video out about Liverpool women. If
That's
every
incredible.
so often, exactly. If every so
but
often,
the men do go. The Liverpool men do go and watch them, and they'll do their social medias. It's a really clever way. It's a really clever PR thing to do to get the players to go. Because can you imagine thinking, oh, I could go as a Palace fan, I could go to watch the women's game in Bromley for £5, and Wilfried Zaha might be there.
I'm down.
Exactly. Or Mateta might be there. Can you imagine?
That is that is such a good way of getting people involved, because
or even just a quick promo video. Did you know that our women's team are playing on Sunday? That's all.
If you've got Kevin De Bruyne saying, "Oh, on Saturday the women are playing at the academy," people will listen, because that's their role model. That is someone that they look up to, saying, "I love this. You should go and check it out." And people will. And Steffi's just said, I think that is a big thing. Yeah, the quality of the play with the ticket prices, absolutely.
But again, I mean, even I was looking today at FA Cup final tickets for women, for the women's FA Cup final. And again, the kids are like a fiver and adults are £20. And that's at Wembley. So that's pretty incredible. And there's loads of tickets and people still not buying them. And you just think, that's an FA Cup final. That's your opportunity to go to Wembley and watch a football match.
Yeah, I think we've got a lot of work to do, but I am praying and hoping that the Euros, that people will watch it, because there is no men's football as well. So you can't say that, it's
an alternative, isn't it? Because quite often football fans are like, it's the summer, I've got nothing, there's no football on, I want to watch football. And this is an opportunity. And I think it will make a difference. I think people will go. I think what will be interesting is actually seeing so women's football in Europe is taken a lot more seriously.
Yeah, definitely.
And the quality of play, this isn't any disrespect to English women players, because they're all fantastic. They're fantastic, but the level is higher because they invest so much more in it, and that's in terms of their training grounds, where they play, and so on. So I think it'll be really interesting to see that, and hopefully that might give a little bit of a kick to some of the clubs to say, you know what, the women in Europe, some of the Spanish teams, some of the Spanish players are incredible because they've got so much investment in their teams. We should be doing the same, because we don't want to be, there's no reason why the English Women's League should be lower than any of the other women's leagues.
And like that comment there says,
that's so true.
If the men's teams suddenly drop the prices, everyone will go, this is amazing.
They wouldn't say it means it's rubbish.
No, and it's ignorance, and we need to change this view of women in sport, women in football especially, and the fact that it is some sort of low quality game you're watching. No, you're going to watch women who are mothers, who are working, some of them working other jobs, and you still getting absolute quality football, and they deserve the support just as much as the men. Thank you. And I think if you look at the Barcelona women, so they sold out their semi-final. They sold out the semi-final home leg in 24 hours. And at the quarterfinal versus Real, they had a crowd of 91,000.
Yeah, that was a record-breaking crowd, wasn't it?
Yeah, 23-year record was broken.
And that's so interesting because, as I said, I was looking at the FA Cup final tickets, and there's loads. They've been out for a while now, and yet there's loads. We're nowhere near in this country respecting the women's game and really understand it. But it needs to be plugged. I mean, it's not on TV, or it is, but as and when, as long as there isn't a man's match.
And if you have a look at the tickets, they made 50,000 free tickets available to club members. So they were free. And then the rest sold out on general sale. But if you think about it, all the club members got free tickets. And again, that is using, oh my God, England women beat North Macedonia 10-0.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. It's just popped up on my phone. That is actually
That's
mad.
insane.
But if you talk about PR, and Steffi's right, the football scene is completely different in Barcelona.
Yeah, it is.
Like in America, football.
Well, isn't that crazy? Women's football in America is a really big thing. And yet football isn't, overall, it isn't a thing. Also, obviously they call it soccer there, but it's American football's their big thing, and yet women's football is huge.
And I think, looking at that, giving 50,000 free tickets out to club members, people are going to take them. They did take them.
Yeah. Who won't take something that's free? I could guarantee, but that's the sad thing. That's why it's promo. That's the problem here. It's PR, because actually kids, as I was saying, at the Palace matches are free, and adults are a £5. People aren't going because people don't even know it's happening. That's what the problem is. They have no idea.
The women's game needs Rashford's
PR.
Oh, honestly, right in the big paragraph. Let's have a look at the England women. So Beth Mead, who was on a hat-trick, scored 4. Ella Toone, I think she's epic, scored a hat-trick. Ellen White.
There were 2 hat-tricks in the game. That's funny.
Yeah.
That's
2 hat-tricks from
insane.
Mead and Toone. Ellen White with 1 goal and Georgia Stanway with 2. Oh my goodness me. Italy women, let's just have a look. Let's just go through them. So Kazakhstan women lost 2-0 to Slovenia. Croatia women beat Moldova 1-0. Hungary women, which we did have a little giggle
We're
at.
hungry women.
We are. Beat the Faroe Islands 7-0. Romania and Switzerland 1-1. Greece beat Estonia 3-1. Denmark
well done, Greece.
2-0. Italy battered Lithuania 7-0. Austria beat Northern Ireland women 3-0. Slovakia and Finland was 1-1. Wales lost 1-0 to France. Oh, no. They're not full-time scores, so there's still time. They're beating Wales 1-0, France are. And the Netherlands are currently beating Cyprus women 7-0, and it's only in the 54th
Oh, that's
minute.
so sad. You know, my background is Cypriot. Again, Cyprus, little investment in the men's, let alone women's.
What does it say here? When in Barcelona, yeah.
That's had 7 first team.
Imagine. It's not the set. No, it's not.
It's not. It's a very, the men's game is so inaccessible. Even that's the funny thing is that the men's game is inaccessible to people who can't afford to go.
Yeah.
So it costs a lot of money being a football fan. It really does, and it completely excludes people, which is why it's a shame that the women's game isn't promoted more, because hopefully it could get people going along. But again, the prices are just prohibitive in the men's game.
Equal amount of men. I see. This is what I mean, and that I agree. Like having the initiative to make positive change from an early stage. So that's just in a university setting. There's an equal amount of men's and women's sport, because that's teaching people from the age of, how old are you when you go to uni? Like 18. From the age of 18. No, actually, it's not men's sport, women's sport. You're both equal.
Just sport.
Yeah, it's just sport.
And that's what it is.
Oh, I didn't know that, actually.
I didn't know that either. So does that mean, if you could answer this, United Abroad, does that mean that women would play soccer rather than American football, or that they're just linked to the team?
I say soccer in quotations because it's football.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the US women's team, well, they obviously got the equal pay, didn't they? They fought for the equal pay. And that's, again, these milestones are being broken in other countries. But like you said, Maria, there is such a block between fans and the game, I feel, in England. Mm-hmm. Even just down from prices.
The thing is, in England, it's just, obviously the Premier League is the biggest league in the world, or, one of the most prestigious leagues in the world.
Yeah.
But it's all just money based. It's all led by money. So if it's not going to bring money in, it's not going to get anywhere. Yeah. And that's how the Premier League operates. So it's all about money and maximising it.
And I was talking to my friend today, and it wasn't about football. It was about, like, Man City have released a range of new jumpers. And I was like, they £55, right, for a jumper, right?
Yeah.
And all it has is like a V, and it says Puma something on it. And we were like, if they dropped that to like £20, it would sell out. There is such
the price of shirts is ridiculous.
My football shirt has it has Walker on the back of it, Premier League badge. I only got it if it's gold. Premier League, but it's like 80.
And how much did it cost?
It was like
right.
80.
So I've got I've got a bunch of Liverpool shirts, And I bought you can get, I don't know, I'm assuming you can do this with all clubs actually. You can either get the players shirt or like the stadium shirt, the replica shirt.
Yeah. There's like the actual shirt that they wear. It's like
that they wear, because it's different. It's not the same as the ones that they sell for fans to wear. So I bought the elite one, as I don't know, I think they're called the elite ones because it's the ones that the players actually wear. Not physically wear, just making sure everyone understands. It's just a different type of fabric. The fabric is different, and so the fit is different. They're a lot more fitted and so on. And it was £99.
Yeah, it's the same.
That's without a shirt. That's without a name on the back and without the extra badges. Just the shirt, £99. And then the ordinary shirt. So they're called the stadium shirts at Liverpool. The stadium shirt is still £80. It's insane. Who can buy that? Who can buy it? So that's why all the fake shirts are all over the place. And even then, people are still paying £30-40 for a fake shirt. It's insane. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, it's the same at Man City. It's like the player shirt, and it's like nearly £100, like you said. It's like
that's one thing. Sorry, go on.
No, it was like over £100 for 2 shirts. And I'm
it's stupid, isn't it?
Imagine if you've got a mum.
How can you do that?
And a partner and 3-4 kids, or just even one kid or two, like that. And kids want the shirt, the shorts, the socks. Like, it's absolutely
insane.
Ridiculous.
I mean, that's one thing I have to say about Palace is at least their shirts are a more reasonable price. I think you can get like a shirt for £45, but like the City, the Liverpool ones and so on, they've got big sponsors on them and they command huge amounts of money. It's absolutely insane. Or even, as you said, it's just the jumpers. We're talking like a hoodie with the name of your team on it. £70, £60, £70, £80. What?
No,
it's just a big money making machine.
Yeah, it's Alex Morgan, he means. Yeah. Exactly. The women footballers are so blooming famous in America. It's ridiculous. And I just think what they've done, like, obviously we talked about like the US national team is moving to the future, the younger players. But like Rapinoe is like, she's leaving a legacy and it is amazing to see. So what did you want to talk about her game to? Wait for it.
I just realised what you were doing. There's so much. Well, there's loads going on with her game too, and I'm just going to very briefly touch on social media at some of the negative stuff that's kind of chucked at the campaign, and it's really sad. People seeing it as some kind of hate campaign against men, and it just isn't. Yeah. So, anyone who doesn't know what Her Game 2 is, it's quite simple. It's just encouraging women to be able to go to football matches without feeling threatened or unsafe.
Literally.
And I think it really needs to be really drummed into people that, yes, as women who regularly go to matches, so if I go every single week to the matches, generally, no, of course, nothing terrible is going to happens to me. It's fine. But you do get unwelcoming behaviour on occasion, or we've seen how men feel really threatened by, I don't know, whatever it is, by women going to football matches, and we've seen it on social media or comments that are chucked at women at matches. And I think what is really important to make clear to people is that Her Game 2 isn't about changing the game and the experience of going to football. The whole point is that women are able to go to a match and enjoy the experience without stupid comments being made at them, let alone hate comments. Because I think there's 2 levels of the kind of stuff that happens. You've got the stupid comments where you just kind of roll your eyes and
like
you kind of do that.
Them kind of comments. Oh, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't remember. You wouldn't have been to that game.
Yeah. Or Or, you know, like I told you when I was asked if I'd arrived to clean the seats.
Yeah, no.
And, you know, that kind of stuff, you just kind of think it's not even worth getting into that conversation. But then it's the hate that's completely unnecessary, where you just think, what triggers someone so much about a woman being at a football match that makes them start hurling abuse at them? It makes no sense. You know, like the get back into the kitchen comments, the football, you're not welcome here, we don't even want you to be there. It is all unacceptable. But I think what I'm trying to say is that there's almost like two levels of it. There's the stupid, flippant comments that people make, and you just tell them to be quiet. You know, you can either ignore it or just kind of, you shake it off, because there's almost an ignorance that comes with it, that people think it's funny, and, you know, you just kind of think whatever. You can either choose to get into an argument over something quite silly, or just kind of think, you know, whatever, if that's your view or you think that's funny. I don't really, you know, I don't even want to enter that conversation. But when it goes into hate and nastiness and abuse, and actually some of those little flippant comments can get to that, but when it gets to that point, you've got to wonder what on earth is going through people's heads that make them even want to do that. Like, what's wrong with people? Why would you do that?
I agree with this comment though. Like, for me, especially being a black woman, and I think it is getting to a stage where, because it's so common, you have to, like, I've had people say to me, why do you need to why did you react to that? And I think, unfortunately, because it is so common now, it's getting to a stage where you have to react to every single comment, because you've got to make sure people know that every single thing is wrong. And I know that is way easier said than done. So, like at City on Tuesday night, I was in the queue for food. I am in recovery from an eating disorder, so I have to eat. If I don't eat, it uncovers a whole thing that I don't need to be entering into at a football game. And I was in the queue for food, and I noticed that there was this big group of lads, but they came to stand around where I was stood in the queue. They didn't choose to stand where the big men were in the queue, but they chose to stand around where I was in the queue. And slowly but surely, they pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed me out of the queue. And eventually I just went, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like I should have been like, what are you doing? But then, because you're a woman, there's a level of, am I going to be safe if I do that? And I think we have to absolutely, I agree with Steffi's comment, like it does only get worse. And I think we've seen that, like, the more incredible things our campaign achieves, you always get the more hate. And like you were saying, it's always like, ridiculous. Was it when women were fighting for the vote?
Yeah.
There was a group of men that protested against women that wanted the vote, because they were so threatened about women potentially voting. And I think it is people being threatened because they think that it's their territory. Football is their thing. And like there was comments saying his game too. We're not saying it's...
Oh, that's so stupid. It already is his game. That's the point.
Yeah, it says her game too, not her game. Her game too. Like,
I know, it's about bringing people together, and that's that.
Yeah, and I think
that's the shame with it.
We have to nip every comment in the bud, and we have to also, like you said though, because you are good at like the social, like how to react on social media, you've got to do it in a way that keeps you at the best level.
Exactly, that's what I mean. So sometimes those silly little things, which yes, they can escalate, you can brush it off and kind of think it's just sad that someone said it. And I think there's things that it's worth kind of entering into a discussion about, and there's some stuff where you just think, for goodness sake, I mean, if you think that's funny, and I'm not talking about just social media, I'm talking in, as I said, like the thing with if you come to clean the seats was at a football match, and it had been raining, the seats were wet. I just went to my normal seat, I sit in the same place every time, and there were some people there that I'd not seen there before, And generally, there's you kind of, if you sit in the same area, you generally see the same people. These were people I'd not seen before, older men. And I'm not saying that means that older men are more likely to have these views, but it was just people I hadn't really seen before. And they were just like, oh, if you come to clean the seats, love. And I was actually a bit taken aback. And initially, like you're ready to kind of snap back something. And I just thought, you know what? It's actually not worth it, because I'm going to be standing next to them for the rest of the match. And then you become the one who they then see you as causing a problem. So it's almost like they're just too stupid. There's no point in arguing with someone who's got that view, because those people weren't going to change their minds. They're just going to see you as the troublemaker who's become triggered or offended or whatever it is. And I would rather than get into an argument there and then be uncomfortable for the rest of the thing, I'd rather highlight it on something like this and highlight it through a campaign so that people think twice before they say anything. Because even they might still be thinking it, but they know it's an unacceptable thing to say. So we can't stop what people are thinking. Some people, I'm sure people think racist things, sexist things, homophobic things all the time, but they don't need to say it. It's like, just shut up. Ideally, you change their view and you educate them. Yeah. Some people don't want to be educated. And as we see on social media, the arguing, and it's ridiculous. It like goes round and round, and you just get to the point where you're like, why am I arguing with these people? Some people get off on just that thing. Oh, God. They're just doing it to make you try and get a response, try and get a reaction, and then they turn it on you. Oh, well, she shouldn't have reacted then. A bit like, what we were talking about earlier did you see on the Her Game 2 chat, how things had been reported to the police, and they were like, well, don't react to it then. There's too much reporting, and there's nothing they can really do. So they're saying, well, don't react to it. And in some ways, not reacting online can actually be, and just highlight it. Look at, highlight it, don't react to it. And they're not going to get a kick out of it. They're doing it for people to react to them. That's why they're doing it behind their keyboards.
And I agree, like, it's an all lives matter. Like, oh, it's his game too. No. Two being the word. And there's so many comments, I just want to go through them. Oh, where's Rich? Yeah, it was rude. Yeah, people, personal space, need to get out of it.
That was awful. That's just ridiculous. Did you actually manage to get anything to eat, though?
Yeah, my friend got me something, but my friend who's a man, I said to get me something, but it's just like, I can see, I'm not stupid. I can see that you picked the part of the queue where you thought that's just a girl.
They can just get in because it's a girl. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of this stresses me out because a lot of it, not all the time, but is men with their kids or older men with younger lads. And I'm thinking, you're just teaching, and that's how it continues. You're just,
and that disappoints me the most when it comes from a younger person. So, like sometimes the online stuff, and you see that it's a young man having these views, or sparking these silly debates. Someone in their 20s and 30s and 40s saying, go back to the kitchen. It's like, really? I mean, have we not been to school? Do we not watch anything? Why are you even saying that? And that's because they've learned that from someone older.
Yeah.
And that's what's been passed on to them. So we've had a football match, and football matches are family places. So you do get sons and dads, mums and whatever. That's what they're learning. So if you are a father taking your son to a football match and you're joining in with sexist chants, or you're making comments about the appearance of female fans to your son or to someone that you're with who can hear them, and I don't just mean, we're not being ridiculous here and saying someone can't say someone looks nice. We're talking about inappropriate comments, and you're saying things like, I don't know, whatever it is, just inappropriate, offensive nonsense about women. Your son's hearing it and thinking, well, that's acceptable. And you might even be there with your daughter and she hears it and she thinks that's okay to be that attitude is okay and it's acceptable, and it isn't. So it disappoints me even more when younger people join in with stuff like that, because it just I went to school years ago, and I know that I learned that wasn't acceptable. So why? I just don't get it. I don't get it. I just think it's ridiculous.
That Steffi said that it getting worse, and that one of the reasons is it's like racism. It's learned because your kid is seeing that is okay, so then they're going to do it. So then they're going to do it in front of their kid, and it's just going to be, and no matter how hard we work, until we break that, it's just we're just gonna have to fight even harder, because it is so difficult. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the fighting online, I'm just like, I'm a block. I can't deal with you. But I need to go to the football with Steffi because getting her elbows. That's why that is what I needed on Tuesday.
That's another thing, is that, as women, now I'm quite fortunate, I'm tall, and I think it makes a difference where men see the bigger you are, the less likely that someone's going to try and kind of do that to you. But if you're smaller, and women are small, whatever we say, women are smaller generally than men, and there's a big crowd of men, they're going to try and shove you out of the way. If I got a crowd of guys at Palace trying to shove me out of the way, I'd just be like, what you do? Shove them out of the way. I'm as big as they are. So it's horrible that they're doing it on purpose. They can see you're a woman there on your own, a smaller woman than them. Right, we're going to go there, and we can probably get round her and get in the queue in front of her. It's just stupid. It's just stupid. And it's that what's it like, mob mentality. There's a group of them. I bet if they were on their own, they wouldn't do it.
No, exactly. And that links into Steffi's comment, like, it's cool, because I think a lot of the lads, like you said, you click on the profiles, they're like my age, 25. And I'm like, they get egged on by their friends, but you get one of them on their own and they're nice.
They would never do,
I've known lads that have, I'm obviously not going to name them, that have chanted sexist chants, they've said things, and then on their own they've said, oh yeah, I know it's not okay, and I'm thinking, but in front of you, because you want to be seen as this football
it's mob mentality.
Absolutely,
it's a mob thing. They just want to be part of it, and they just get involved, even though they might not even agree with it. They don't want to be seen as the one who's not agreeing, and they want to be part of it, and they do it just to be part of the crowd. And the sad thing is that every single one of that group might not even think it's okay what they're doing, but they're just doing it because they don't talk, they don't communicate about these things properly, and so it leads on to big issues.
Exactly. Like, it's your responsibility as not even just as a dad, like as the one friend in the group that thinks this isn't okay.
Say no, this isn't all right. Yeah.
Like, you don't need to be cool. You need to say, actually, we shouldn't be chanting that. Or
we shouldn't be pushing in front of this girl on her own, or in front of anyone. It's just it's just manners. Like, what are you doing?
And I think it is that there's this pressure, I think, as well, that's come from this football culture that needs to change, because it's a pressure of, you've got to be this massive masculine, whatever that even means, man to go to football. You've got to say this, you've got to join in this, because if you just look at like Dominic Calvert-Lewin doing his modeling, his fashion, whatever, the abuse that he is getting. But I can tell you, if he was modeling tracksuits, it wouldn't be the same. You'd get the comments about stick to the football, blah, 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 blah. But lots of these men are very, very triggered by him because he is dressing in a more effeminate way. He is dressing the way he feels comfortable to dress. And I think because it goes against this football culture, this lads culture, that's why if you look at him, and then Jack Grealish did his Gucci thing, people laughed and thought it was funny that Jack, like, Mr. Gucci, ha ha ha.
Yeah.
But he's not received half the abuse that Dominic Calvert-Lewin has, because Dominic Calvert-Lewin dares to have a handbag. Do you know? And I'm like,
well, that's the sad thing, because it's like in the women's game, you can't win. Because who's the female footballer that came out and said that she's not taken seriously? Now, so she puts across a more, a really kind of, I can't even think of the word, but like a really attractive, sexy woman, and she puts across that image, and that's what she's happy with, which is fine. Yeah. And yet she gets attacked for that as well.
Yeah.
So you get this kind of thing. Oh, all women football players are all butch and blah blah blah, and then if you're not, you get attacked anyway. So it's like they either want you to behave like a man to play football, but if you're behaving like a woman, then you shouldn't be playing football. You're just there for your looks. And it's like, what nonsense is that? Are you saying that there can't be attractive female football players? What does that even mean? And it's not even about being attractive. It's being like she looks like a pop, like a famous pop star kind of look, and they don't like it. And it's like, but male football players model, regardless of what they're wearing. We're not necessarily going. I mean that they do model. People don't go on people didn't go on at David Beckham that he can't. That he's an attractive man, and so he shouldn't be. He's only playing because of his looks. Well, whoever says there's a male football player who's only got picked because of his looks? What nonsense is that? So it's almost like saying, if you're going to be a female football player, they're like, oh, well, you don't have to act like a man, or they're so manly. Until on the other hand, oh, but we don't actually want you to be womanly either. So what on earth? What do people want? What do you want?
Some of that does come from they just don't want women in the game.
Yeah.
So, you're just trying to be like a man playing football. Oh, but now you're too much of a woman, and you can't be a woman.
Too much of a woman. Why are you being a woman? It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I think exactly, and I think we've said that before, haven't we? Like, male voices are really, really important, not to take over, but really, really important in the fight against sexism in football, because a lot of men who are entrenched in that culture will only listen to other men, and it will take that one friend to say, actually, guys, this isn't okay. And male voices and male support is gonna be really essential, and it is really essential. I'm trying to read through the comments. Yeah, exactly. People are quick to say, and I agree with that comment, like, being openly racist, that's something that I've experienced at football. Like, there's people who will be the first to like message me like, oh my God, are you okay? I've seen this comment, I've seen this, but then if someone said something in the street, they'd just be like, and I think that is the same for a lot of people. And I think it's the same, like we were saying, like, with the sexism, a lot of people will they know it's not okay.
Yeah.
But they don't want to say anything. And it's like, you have to be that bold person that says, no, I'm not going to be around this. And yeah, exactly. It is time for we as women.
It's about men and women working together. It isn't just it's not just a women's issue. It's everyone's issue. And men and women, actually, if they work together, can achieve incredible, incredible things. And yet these divides appear that make no sense. It's just stupid. Exactly. Shouldn't be a power trip. Just work together.
And I absolutely agree with this. Like, there is a massive culture of peer pressure. Like, it makes people feel like, I remember being in school and telling a teacher something and my friend did, and I'm like, oh, don't be a grass.
Yeah, like, doing the right thing is seen as the wrong thing.
Yeah. So you never, or people say, oh, you just pick at everything. Oh, you just not happy with anything that anybody does. Like, I'll say something like about like the Dominic Calvert-Lewin thing. It's not okay that people that, oh, but you just can't, like, oh, people are allowed their opinions. And it's like, no, I'm trying to stand up for something that's wrong. but people don't want you to do that. It's like, don't be a snitch, don't say anything, just as long as you know it's not right. It's like that kind of culture. Like, as long as you know it's not right, but you don't say anything, and don't say no, don't cause an argument. And it's just
it's this stupid thing about being cool. Like, cool. How are you being cool by not standing up for something that you know is wrong?
Exactly.
And that's the worst thing. And it happens, like in schools, it happens everywhere. It's not just in schools. You know, when you're on a train or on a bus or in the street and something's happened. I'll tell you a story. I'll tell you a story. My old lady stories. I was I was pregnant and I was walking up the road with a buggy. I had another child. Walking up the road, heavily pregnant, pushing a buggy, and some school kids ran across the road. They were chasing after a boy. So it was one boy and then a gang of boys behind him running after him. Now, this was an afternoon. It was busy. And on the street, I remember this so vividly. There was a large guy fixing his car, another guy further along getting into his car, and a man walking along the road. So it was all guys there. And these boys, and it was a gang of boys, there must have been about 6, 7, 8 of them, ran across the road chasing this boy, and they started kicking him on the floor. And in my head, it just kicked in that I had to do something. Now, I used to be a teacher, secondary school teacher, so I have to say I actually have no fear of teenagers. They just don't faze me at all. And that just kicked in my head, and I didn't think of anything. So I'm just this like woman walking along, pregnant with a buggy, and these guys, these boys run across the road, and I was like, "Oi, what are you doing? Leave them alone!" And they just ran off. They got scared that someone confronted them. And the boy on the floor went up to him. I'm like, "Are you all right?" And I was like, yeah. Was really embarrassed, and he ran off. And I stood there and I just thought, there were three men on the street, and not one of them said anything because they don't want to get involved I don't know. I actually couldn't comprehend that. And the minute you call someone out, then they just ran off. I was just a woman with a kid, with a baby, and pregnant, and they ran off. Yet the men on the street, big men, nothing.
I think that is a big problem, like we just said, because I think that is something that happens, like with the sexist comments and things. They know it's not right, but it's this culture of, I don't want to get involved and I don't want to speak up. Yeah, exactly. Being cool is a massive contradiction, because a lot of the time it doesn't. Yeah, exactly. Because there's groups of lads I know, and they go to football, and you can see them. They don't want to be like, with drinking as well. You can see them like, oh, have a
takes over though, doesn't it? It's like something takes over.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, but I have to, like you said, it's this mentality of I have to be cool. I have to be like, if I call out the sexism, I don't want to get involved. I want to be cool. I want to do this. But it's a lot cooler to say something. Like, there's so many men who are incredible, like, that send tweets of support for her game too.
Yeah.
And I can tell you what, we see them as being a lot cooler than anybody else.
Yeah,
like, look
exactly.
At Callum Best. Callum Best is one of our biggest supporters.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, and that's what we need. We just need some men to be on the side of the campaign and to be championing it and saying, this is a really good thing, guys. This isn't against you. It's actually, it helps you. Having a big, harmonious, amazing crowd at a football match, it's crazy.
No,
exactly. This idea of you have to join in, you've got no choice. If you don't do it, you're not going to have friends. You know what? Have no friends if they're the friends that you're going to be choosing.
Have no friends and support her game too. Have no friends and stand up against racism.
But I don't know what you think, Samara. Some of the people on there, I don't even think they even believe what they're right. They're just doing it because there's something just wrong. They're doing it because they just literally they get off on it. And actually, they probably lead really ordinary lives behind, Yeah, and it's like, I don't know if you remember a few years back where this guy got I think he was racist there was some kind of racist comment. I can't remember the ins and outs of it, towards some fans. It was like football fans. And it turned out he was like a City banker, like perfectly.
I remember that, I think.
I can't remember the exact, it was a Chelsea fan, I think. I can't remember the ins and outs of it, but it was, they like put pictures up on TV of this guy that was wanted. And it turned out he was like supposedly this fine, upstanding man. And and he was like a football hooligan. And he ended up losing his job and so on. And that's what needs to happen. And actually clubs themselves need to be taking more responsibility, because if stuff is happening and that's racist stuff, sexist stuff, anything like that is going on, if the club isn't taking action, personally, and I remember we had the big debate last year on a podcast that I'm on, personally, I think they should start making the fans feel accountable by punishing the clubs. If the club isn't going to sort it out, then we start taking points. And soon the fans will be going, shut up to the people that are doing it, because they don't want their club. If you love your club so much, then represent your club in a way that makes you proud, not that brings shame on not just your club, but the whole entire country as others look on and see what's going on. Punish
it's like
them.
when you're in school and everybody gets the break took off them because of that one kid. And eventually, every
all
time
start
that one
shutting
kid
up.
cracks up, the kid's like, whoa, stop. And it comes
That's
down
what they
to
need to do. Start taking points off the clubs. If you don't deal with it, we'll take points.
Yeah, and like how you punish a child. Yeah, these are not children, but it does have that same effect. And is it Bristol Rovers?
It's exactly the same. Human nature is exactly the same. You'll go along with the crowd until something happens that means that the crowd is wrong and they're going to be punished. And you believe me, the minute your club that you're paying to see every week, that you want to win the league and win games, the minute they start saying we're going to take points of you, they'll stop it, or they'll just shut up. And that's what needs to happen. And actually, that we need to be hearing fans at games saying, that's out of order, and seeing and I know that a lot of it, there are I know there's a text number at a lot of clubs where if you're hearing racist abuse, you can text the number and it gets dealt with. It's good when I've heard people where they've thought they've heard something and they're like, oh, did you hear that? Oh, did you hear that? And, it's not accepted, or it's becoming more unacceptable, and people are, reporting things. But it needs to be more, instead of oh, did you hear that? Call them out.
Yeah, just say it. Yeah. And is it Bristol Rovers that Kaz supports? Bristol Rovers. Yes. Yeah, Bristol Rovers. Am I right before I say this and it's not right? Because we had the incident, didn't we, with the sticker and
yeah. Sorry, that's right. Yeah.
Targeted abuse. It is Bristol Rovers, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. No, hang on. Wasn't it Blackburn? Blackpool? Bristol? Sorry, that's me being really ignorant.
Yeah, exactly. And they've put out a club statement saying that this is unacceptable. For anyone that doesn't know, Kaz is our incredible founder. And let me just get the statement up. And Lucy, who is our other incredible founder. Someone had made stickers basically with the Her Game 2 logo.
That was so stupid.
But they purposefully stuck it, I think one of them on a poster that's in the stadium of Kaz, like all about Her Game 2. So this was a targeted attack. But the club themselves have put out a statement saying that this is not okay. And I think they are leading the way, because that is telling these people, we've seen you. This is only the beginning of how we're going to deal with it, like what you said. And I think it's really important, because even though obviously they don't know the names of these people, they don't know who did it, those people will see that, and they'll see the support.
And the club has said that they're going to look at CCTV, and if they find these people, they're going to be banned. And that's exactly what needs to happen.
Like you said, that is what needs to happen. And it's not I'm sick of people saying, oh, it's a bit dramatic. It's not dramatic, because you would do the same if there was a targeted attack and something physical had happened. But it is the same, because this is what happens at the beginning. And then it gets worse, and then it gets worse because it's not dealt with. And people think, oh, I've got away with it once.
But actually, even putting out those stickers, like, what? You know, literally, when I saw it, I was just like, what? Why? Why would you do that?
You've literally
What is
spent
the
your own
issue
money.
here?
Yeah, you spend your own money and your own time to have that printed. You are so filled with hate for people that you don't even know that you've had to do that, and it's sad, really.
These are people with deep-seated problems, because there's no reason why what someone else is doing should even have that kind of impact on you. Why you shouldn't be allowed to go to a football match and enjoy it, or why you shouldn't be allowed to say, you know what, something's wrong here, or it's not quite right. Because I think, again, you know, we get women saying, oh, well, it's never happened to me. And that's fine. Do you know, generally, a lot of this stuff, most of this stuff hasn't happened to me either. Other than, you know, like the comment, as I said, about cleaning and whatever, which at the time I was just, you know, it was like an eye-rolling moment. And you're right, those kind of things, we shouldn't really let them go. But it was, for me at that point, it was just an eye-rolling moment. And I just thought, oh, well, this is going to be uncomfortable. But you know, what goes through people's heads that makes them so upset over wanting to just ensure that you can go to you can just go anywhere, not even a football match, to go to a sporting event and enjoy it. And I think, again, women need to also realise that, yeah, of course it doesn't happen to everyone, or, you know, it's just a bit of banter, or I just join in and so on. And we've said it before, people join in to be part of the crowd. And I think even women don't realise, you know, they need to be educated. You don't need to join in to feel accepted. You don't need to. Just go to the game and blooming enjoy it. You don't need to be like, oh, look at me, I'm doing this and that. Just enjoy the game.
No,
and yeah, of course, it might not have happened to you and you might feel perfectly safe at a game, but someone else might not. And that's what we're addressing. We're not saying the majority of football fans are doing terrible things at matches to women. That's not what we're saying at all. We're saying that there is a very dominant minority who are causing problems and putting women off from going.
And I think for a lot of girls, it is. I was like that. I've said before, like, I used to become a completely different girl when I went to football, because I used to become the girl that I thought the guys wanted. So I used to wear loads of makeup, big hoop earrings. I would knot my shirt. I would dress sexy. I hate that word. But then I would also, so that would be like my outward look, that I thought, right, this is what guys want, because I've had comments that I'm pretty, da, da, da. And then I would go to the game, and then I'm not really a swearer. I'd be effing and jeffing. I'd be drinking pints. I don't even drink beer. So it would be like, I'm trying to dress more feminine on the outside, because that's what I thought that the guys wanted. And then, but then my behavior, just so I was taken seriously, I felt like I had to be more masculine. And it is just, we're just saying to any girls out there who that like resounds with, because I know it does with loads of girls. Like, I think girls are so desperate to fit in at a football game in order to feel safe and to feel like they belong, that they do join in with the chants, even though they know it's wrong.
And they even speak out against stuff like Her Game Too, in order, again, to join in. And, you know, I think that story that you've just said about that you used to do is so important, that people hear that, so that they can see that it's something that we do in order to just fit in. We're in, as I think someone said on the chat, you know, we're in this culture of trying to fit in, trying to be cool, trying to be like everyone else. And yet there's this other sort of this other narrative, which is that sort of counter that, which is like, you should be an individual, you should be this, you should be that. People are getting confused with all these crazy mixed messages. But then once you're in a crowd, you want to fit in and you want to be part of it. And, you know, it is about educating people, and it's just about saying, look, it's football.
Yeah.
It's football. And if women are feeling that way, that they need to join in order to fit in, imagine, you know, like we said, a lot of men know it's wrong, and yet they'll join in with it. Imagine what's going through their heads, and they're getting that, you know, there's real mental health issues here, or there's an issue, there's a it affects mental health when, on one hand, something's wrong. On the other hand, you're kind of joining in with it. You're being told you have to be macho, you have to be man, you have to be this. It's confusing, and it's a horrible, difficult thing for a lot of men to deal with, and they get caught up in this nonsense, and it escalates into, is it really worth you then getting called out, but getting banned by your club?
Exactly, yeah, because that's what's
for just joining in with your mates.
Yeah,
is it worth it? Or losing your job, like that Chelsea supporter that we said? Is it worth it? Is it worth ruining your life for making a stupid comment that it's wrong?
Yeah, things can change, and I think
exactly
we are seeing a lot of change, and it does take a lot of bravery and self-awareness, and it is scary. It is scary to stand up and say that's wrong to a group of people.
Of course it is
scary. But I just want everyone to know that standing up against sexism, because of Her Game Too, you're never ever on your own anymore. And there's always, you have the ambassadors for every club.
Yeah. And that's what the ambassadors are for. Even if your club isn't partnered with Her Game Too, the whole point is that there is someone who you can contact through social media generally, or through, go on the website and you should find the contact details of the person. Get in touch with them if something has happened and say, this happened, and we can actually contact. Most people have got some kind of contact with the club, or at least, even if they've not necessarily had responses and so on from their club, you can still get in touch. We're able to somehow get that message to that club that this has happened, and we will highlight that. And that's what the whole point is.
I feel like Rich is getting loads of abuse, but I would just like to say that it was me that wrote that. It was me that wrote the comment, but because I'm on his,
it's coming up as
his cover's him. So it was
Rich
me.
Isn't here. Rich isn't here. Rich isn't even watching tonight, guys.
It was me that disrupted the whole conversation, because I was like, thanks, guys. And then when it sent it said Eagle Eye Football, I was like, oops.
That's like when I confuse you and it was me commenting. You're like, we've got someone watching. Guys, it was me.
Like, from the conversations in the comments, if you read the comments, you guys, sorry, realist. No, please.
Rich will watch this back later and he'll be like, what? They're talking about not being abusive and now I'm getting abuse. And it's not even me.
We are so grateful, guys, because you guys just engaging in this conversation shows us that things are changing. People want to get involved, and if you just give Her Game Too a follow, and hopefully, I would say by the end of this season, but that's being realistic. Hopefully by the end of next season, we want to have as many Premier League clubs as possible partnered, because I think it's really important for all leagues, but I think once you get, especially your Liverpools, City, Chelsea,
and they lead the way, don't they?
Yeah, they do, because they sit here. Yeah. So I think once you get them joining, it will feed down. The lower league clubs have been incredible, and
they really have.
If they can pledge their support, and if they can pledge their support and raise awareness of Her Game Too, just they sent it to so many audiences, like Callum Best, it's gone to so many more people, but just think how many more people it will go to if Liverpool joined, or City, or do you know what I mean?
I think the profile of Her Game Too, I just feel like it's gone whoosh.
Oh my God, yeah.
There's so much going on, and people know that it's out there, and people know that there's issues, and they also know, because we also talk about the positives. It isn't about abuse constantly and this, that, and the other. There's so much amazing stuff going on, and that's something we want to highlight. But there really is, there's a shift beginning, but it needs to carry on, and we need people, share this show, talk about Her Game Too, share the tweets, show that it's a positive thing, because what happens is the people who are enjoying something, they tend not to talk about it. They're just like, oh yeah, it's really good. The end. It's the people who are negative where we suddenly hear their voice, because they're the ones who are willing to get on and poo-poo on everything. And, the only way to silence them is by showing that actually the majority of people think this is a really good thing, and to show that it's a really good thing. And that's what we need, is people to be saying, hey guys, Her Game 2 are doing this really great thing. Let's support them. Let's get behind them. And that will also show the teams who might not have joined in or might not have partnered or whatever. It will make them go, yeah, let's do it. So it's really, really, really important. That's exactly. So it takes dialogue. And I think that's another issue with, men don't talk to each other about this stuff because they're macho. They don't want to talk about how you should behave at a football match. It might seem like a really stupid thing, but we know there's a huge YouTube football community out there. It would be great. And we've got people I know who have retweeted our show who are on massive football channels. It would be great if some of those big channels, and if there's people out there watching, have someone on from Her Game 2 to talk about this stuff. Don't just invite women on just to talk about the match. We can do that. I mean, I go on channels all the time to talk about matches. That's great. Let me talk about what it's like being a woman at a football match. Not just, let's have a female voice.
Yeah, United are not part
not
of it
yet. I think the only not yet. The only Prem teams, Everton were the first.
Leeds.
And I think that's it at the moment. Most of the others have got representatives, and everyone's working really, really hard to. That's brilliant. The ambassadors are working really hard to get the teams on board, but even behind that, ambassadors are doing huge amounts of work to just get stuff going and so on.
Yeah, I'm working so hard on Man City, it's ridiculous, but it will happen. It will, and
it just takes perseverance. It just takes perseverance.
Next week to watch good old PNE. I'm going to be handing out some flyers for Her Game 2. Well, you never know.
Really cool.
I might not come back. I might run away with someone. No, I'm joking. No, I am super excited though, because it's the first thing I've been able to do like at a game, because obviously it is difficult, and it's going to be difficult. Like realist, he is the realist.
We're not saying we don't. Just to say, we're not saying United have said they don't want to do it. We're just saying they're not on board yet. We're also really realistic. We know that the Premier League clubs, they get bombarded with this stuff. So it's just presenting to them something a little bit different and showing that we're not actually there to divide the club. And I think that's what the concern can be sometimes with the negative stuff that's online. Is that you get caught up in the negatives, and we don't want clubs to think, oh no, we're being made to look really rubbish because this stuff's going on. That's not what we want to happen at all. We're actually showing that the club wants to get involved and bring people together. That's the whole point of it.
And I think it will happen. It'll be slowly but surely with the Premier League clubs. But I just want to say to people, if you do experience sexism, like you've just said, like there is still an ambassador. Even if your club isn't a partner with Her Game 2.
Get in touch with your ambassador.
I think almost all clubs, Premier League clubs have.
I'm sure every Premier League club, I think they have.
So there is
it's really exploded recently, hasn't it? Because there's 40 ambassadors now.
And we do have advocates as well. So some clubs have an ambassador who is your focal lead point.
Yeah, the person who's basically the contact with the club.
Yeah, and then you've got your advocates who you can also speak to. So there is, and you can just message Her Game 2 in general if you don't know who to speak to, but something's happened or you've heard something, and you can report it on our website and everything. There is so many ways.
Yeah.
But just thank you guys for joining us.
Oh, it's been really lovely. So nice to see people really getting involved in the conversation. And that's what we want. We want people involved and commenting and chatting and helping us make this what it is. Should we just end on something, a bit of an uplift one? I don't know if it's uplifting. Yeah. Can I talk about my burger that I had at Bromley when I went to see the women's game? The fries and the chips. We did say we'd talk food. You had good food last week as well.
It was our women's game, but it was
women's game food is amazing because generally, and I think this is the case,
They got
they need
cakes.
to make more money because they're not. But it's true, they're not bringing in much money at the stadium. So I think they up the food offering. Oh my God, it was an incredible burger, like a proper burger, like a restaurant burger, not like a burger van. But and I'm not going to lie, I have to say I was a little bit. The burger was great. The chips were incredible. They were skin on, thick fries.
Oh, yes.
So good. But the price, spent like 30 quid on like burgers and chips, which I wasn't overly.
Well, you asked me,
it's for the
didn't
foodies.
you?
Wasn't overly. Yeah, it was 20. It was 30 quid for those. I wasn't pleased because the next day I had a Palace match, and I knew I'd be spending money again on food. But I was a little bit disappointed that I didn't get my standard, I wanted like a burger van, greasy burger or a pie, and they didn't have that. But the food, I have to say, seriously, skin on fries are the best.
Skin on, that's just
amazing. Yeah. I mean, for me, I do skin on fries at home because I'm lazy and I don't want to peel the potato.
I love that.
They were so good. I've lost my train of thought. Yeah, what I was going to say is if you are a Londoner and you're in South London and you can go to Crystal Palace women's game, the food is amazing. The food is amazing.
Because at Man City
Academy, they do. They had amazing cake. Yeah. They had cake.
Like actual fresh cakes. And at Man City Academy.
Oh, you had loads of cakes, didn't you, at your one?
We had brownies.
Steffi knows what I mean.
Like cakes with like cream in the middle.
What was the price like though? Was it higher than at City at the ground?
No, not really.
It wasn't.
Not really.
I think it was at Bromley because it's a restaurant and that's open anyway, and it's attached to the ground.
The actual food though was like this bowl, right? Rice, nachos, pulled pork, or you could have chili. It was like I was like a full meal. They just honestly, and I said to them, "Oh, they should do this at the Etihad," and she's like, "Yeah, well, there just wouldn't be any time." And I was like, "I don't care. I would wait the whole game."
Yeah, miss the game so you can get your bowl of food.
It was only £6.50.
How much was it? £6.50.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, that I said about the hot dog at the Emirates a couple of weeks ago. That was incredible. I was really gutted that Arsenal had good food. It really upset me.
Man City's food is they trying to make it look better than it is by putting the price up. And like I had a sausage roll on Tuesday, it had seeds on it. Why has my sausage roll got seeds on it? I don't understand. Why has it got seeds on?
That's so funny.
I just wanted a sausage roll and it had seeds on it. I was just like, I can't.
I still think the pies at Selhurst Park are brilliant. Really good. Do you follow on Twitter? If you are it looks like everyone is into food. If you are on Twitter, follow Footy Scran. Follow that account, and it is literally people just sending pictures of food from football stadiums all around the world, and it is brilliant to see what different countries' clubs sell as football food. So good.
Yeah, guys, we are leaving you hungry. Yeah. I'm gonna eat some party rings. To be fair, I love a party ring. Oh my god, I love that
party ring. Yeah, but this is so that person who just said that, United Abroad, I try and vlog what's going on at games all the time, but in the end, as you know, Samara, you just get a picture of my pie.
Oh.
And the odd picture of
Newcastle
of what's going on.
Wolves 1-0.
Oh.
I just really want to be nosy and just have a really quick look at the table because...
Yeah, I was going to say, what does that mean table-wise for Newcastle?
14th.
Okay, and where are Wolves?
Wolves are in 8th. So
8th.
But Newcastle, yeah.
Oh, does that impact Everton? Just out of interest.
Everton 17th. To 1 point. They're only 1 point clear of Burnley, aren't they?
I see
These
nothing.
are too far away from me.
My
we have
wife
to
wants to
post
try it on. I love. So me and Samara want to do a tour of all football stadiums to try their food. I'm not even joking. I'm serious about this.
We'll do this. Apart from
At Anfield, I did have scouse pie, and it was incredible. I was scared to try. You know, when you've not. This was. I felt a bit stupid. So I'd been told about this, and I thought I'd been told about it from someone who's from Liverpool. And I thought they were mucking around. So they were explaining. Liverpool's like another country, right? Because everything is different. And they were explaining what scouse is, and it's like a stew, basically, like a stew with lamb and potatoes and whatever. And they said that at Anfield they do a scouse pie, and I was like, "What do you mean?" And they're like, "You put this. It's like the stew is inside a pie." So I thought they were just taking the mickey. I just thought that can't be real. And so when I went to Anfield, I went up. I mean, they've got quite a big menu. They had scouse pie, and I got one. I had no idea what it was going to be like. And I remember I also made the mistake of not getting a fork. So I tried to eat it like I would eat a normal pie, but it's got a stew inside it with potatoes. So it was so embarrassing. I sat in my seat and I couldn't, it just wasn't working. And I was like picking it and trying to eat like meat with my hand. It was really gross. I eventually went and got a fork. Eventually someone sat next to me and I was like, "Oh, excuse me, can you look after my pie while I go and get a fork?" Because I have no shame. And it was delicious. And it was really big. That was what excited me the most, that it was a really big
We
pie.
need to do this. We need
so
to do
good. Scouse pie. I mean, I loved it. It's so, like, I was like, it's something completely different and regional.
Then you can come to Man City and get a sausage roll.
What do they do there then? Have they got anything that's specific to, like, Manchester? I know it's Liverpool's like its own country. That's different.
All I order is chips and curry sauce because I just don't.
Right, so that's such a northern thing. You do realise that's a complete. It always makes me laugh when I come up north. Chips. What is it? Chips, cheese, and gravy. I'm like, what? No, no, that doesn't happen here. When you come down south, we don't do chips and gravy. It's just not a thing.
Gravy and then curry sauce. Not curry sauce.
No. We do chips with like ketchup or chips with a bit of mayonnaise. You do not do chips and gravy.
Yeah, you
or
do.
Chips and cheese and gravy. No.
Do you have Bovril? Yeah.
I know they sell it at Matches.
Really?
But no, you have that as a drink. Bovril's a drink. You know?
Yeah, that is a drink. Bovril.
Yeah, but chips and gravy. In Liverpool, they were like, you go to the Chinese takeaway or to the chip shop and you have half and half. And I was like, what's half and half? And they're like, do you know what that is? Half rice, half chips. I was like, who eats rice and chips? And then curry sauce on the top. No.
I do. From the Chinese,
Samara.
I have something fried rice with salt and pepper chips and curry sauce. This is normal.
No, that does not happen in the South. It's not a thing.
We're going to produce a cookbook, the North and the South, together.
It's so different. That's like when I went to Liverpool, I went to an ice cream van and I asked for a lemon ice. Do you know what a lemon ice is?
What's that?
And the person in the van said to me, "Are you from London?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "We don't do lemon ice. Why do Londoners ask for lemon ice?" And they were like, "We do ice cream." They just had like the vanilla thing. They dipped it in like sprinkles or something. I don't know what they did. And I was like, "No, we don't do that. Lemon ice. It's a lemon ice cream. It's like a bit like no, it's an ice cream. It's like a sorbet. It's bright yellow.
See, we need to do a cookbook or like a guide to eating the North and South. So then people from the north, when they go to the south, they'll have a book full of your things to ask for.
Listen, in the south, if I went to my Chinese takeaway and said, "Can I have half and half?" It doesn't even sound right in my accent, right? Can I have half and half? They'd be like, "What are you talking? Half and half? What?"
As if you don't ask, go to the football, can I have chips with curry sauce?
Just not a thing. It's not a thing.
What do we have? We have a Mancunian pie, but I don't really know what's in it.
What's in it? What's Mancunian pie?
I feel like I should know, but I just get chips with curry sauce.
I want to... Just don't do that. At a match, you cannot get chips and gravy.
You can! Chips
no,
and gravy.
Not here.
Pie and gravy? That's
no,
normal.
we don't sell gravy.
You don't have gravy on your pie?
No, there's gravy inside the pie.
This is just not okay.
Maybe we need to start some kind of organisation that promotes food and some more equality between the food.
Oh yeah,
we
have a thing called Pie Minister that's like outside the ground. It's epic, and it does like award-winning pies. Like,
oh yeah, we've got Pie Ministers here. Yeah. It's like a chain. Yeah,
normal. It's the same.
Well, it depends what kind of pies they sell up there, doesn't it?
Well,
I mean, if they come with chips and gravy.
Right, guys.
I think we're done.
Have I made up this monkey? I'm sure it's a thing. It might have been
I'd look it up, but I'm on my phone, so I can't look it up.
I've just looked it up and it didn't come up, but I'm sure it's a thing because I'm sure I've read it. Or it's like a Manchester pie. It's something, but I feel like it's just a pie that's been named that so they can sell it.
I reckon it's because in Liverpool they sell the Scouse pie, and so they've come up with Mancunian. I know there's that. Every time I go to Liverpool, Manchester, people always like, "Oh, do you prefer?" Like if I'm in Manchester, they're always like, "Oh, Manchester's better than Liverpool, isn't it?" And I always go, "Yeah, it really is." And then in Liverpool, when I'm in Liverpool, I'm like, "Liverpool's so good. I hate Manchester." And it's just being nice to people. That's all. Don't want to upset anyone. Sorry, my phone is running out.
Sorry if you've like just joined in and like you're like.
We were talking about, but this is still football talk. It's just that they're talking about food at football.
Well, like on Sunday at the Liverpool game, I'll take a picture. I'll try and zoom in on the menu.
Yes, I want you to find this Mancunian pie.
Maybe it didn't exist, but I'm sure it did.
I bet it does. There must be like a menu online of what they sell at that city place that you're going to. Yeah.
The best place. Well, there might not be a show next week because we might have fell out. So,
who do you think's going to win?
Well, my boyfriend, who's a United fan, thinks City are going to win.
I think that we should do a little question of the week next week. We can post it up on our socials and see what people think. Can you have a successful relationship when a couple supports rival teams?
I mean, yeah. But he said he thinks that City are going to win.
Really? What does he know? It's because he's a United fan.
Well, that's the thing. You can't talk to them about football. No offense, realist. They don't know anything.
I meant that it's a United fan, so they hate Liverpool.
Yeah. But I don't know. I hope it's not a 0-0. Boring.
It will be. It's going to be a draw. Yeah. It's one of those matches. It'll just be a draw. And it'll be really rubbish as well. Nothing will happen.
Yeah, 0-0, and it'll just be like...
Salah will miss every blooming opportunity.
Right, guys. We will see you all next week. Maybe. Unless we fell out.
We're not going to fall out. This is what I mean. Football's about bringing people together, regardless of which team you support.
Well, if Man City lose, I'm all just...
I remember I've got 2 teams. I don't care what people say. I've got 2 teams. I can have 2 teams if I want.
See?
City to win the league. No, it's so City are the most boring team. I'm so sorry, Samara. They're so boring. They do not.
Boring.
They are. They're boring. We do not want City to win the league. We want Liverpool to win because they're nicer.
Nobody. Sorry.
We're going down to the inside. We were so good at everyone being kind. Everyone's going, everyone needs to be kind and call out abuse and not be nasty. And then the minute you start talking football, everyone's like, no, Don't know what you're talking about. Your team's rubbish. Your views are rubbish. You don't know what you're talking about.
No one wants Liverpool to win. Everyone wants City to win.
No, you're so wrong.
No,
Everyone wants Liverpool to win.
No.
Because you're in Manchester, so no one there wants Liverpool to win. Everywhere else, people want Liverpool to win.
Apart from Everton fans.
Well, no one cares about Everton. I mean, no offence, guys, but you're going to be relegated. We're watching what's it called? Car crash TV at the moment with Everton.
Yeah. Whatever happens, neither of us support Man United, so.
Yeah, we don't care anyway. Yeah, at least we're not United supporters. Sorry to your boyfriend. I'm sure he's lovely.
I was reading a comment. Was it? I don't know. I think it was a City fan and Liverpool fan agreed. And they said that whoever doesn't win does deserve to, like, whoever finishes second basically deserves to win it. Like, the two teams are that good basically, and I think it has been like that.
Yeah, they're pretty even. I love to say Liverpool were written off at the beginning of the season, so I'm really happy that they've showed that.
As long as United do dreadfully, I'm happy.
I know. We're United currently. They're just like slipping. It's quite sad. I thought United were going to win the league this year. At the beginning of the season, I was like, I thought Chelsea or United were the winners.
We're going to leave it at that.
You better leave it.
Thank you, guys. And we'll see you soon.
Bye.